Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. I'm so glad you're here. You guys, we are trucking through this horrible book. Oh, this one's going to be tough. Stick with me. We're going to talk about the BS. We're going to wade through the BS. Today gets into the bullying accusations against Meghan. And I'm pausing to think of how to say this without cracking up. You guys, Meghan's just the victim in all this, but she didn't write this book. Omid wrote it, right? Isn't that what they're saying? Anyway, oh God, stick with me on this. We're going to get through this together. Let's hold feathers and get through this. Okay. I'm Jen. Thanks so much for being here. Honk, honk, everyone. I got so sick of the pictures of Harry looking miserable and all the things. So this time in the background, we have photos of Meghan, who can't stop messing with her hair. Something I've noticed. It's something you've noticed. Now you can really notice it in all these pictures. Let's take a look and listen to the BS, shall we? Gotta find something to make us laugh while we listen to this nonsense. All right. So picking up in chapter 10, and again, if you're watching this out of order, if you're like, oh, should I start on part 10? Who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm explaining what he's talking about. It really doesn't matter. This book doesn't matter. All right, let's keep going. Chapter 10. The men and women in gray. All right. Again, I've heard the theories, as have you, that it was just Omid and Meghan that helped with this book. Again, I have to put this blanket statement. It's all alleged. According to Omid, nope, only he wrote it. According to my brain, nope, Omid, Harry, and Meghan wrote it. And the reason I do think Harry is involved is we see a lot of things that Harry said in Spare coming across in here. He takes a lot of digs at William, a lot of digs at Charles, and a lot of digs at the media. So that screams Harry to me. I mean, that's the Harry we've come to know, right? All right. So this chapter, again, men and women in gray. Right off the bat, Omid talks about the advisors and he calls them, you ready for this? Hangers on. Just let that sink in. He's calling Omid Scobie is calling somebody else a hanger on. I'd say, what are you, Omid, if not a hanger on? Look at you right now. Spinning tales for Harry and Meghan, trying to make it seem like it's the victim's fault in Meghan's bullying stuff, right? I mean, trying to paint Meghan the victim there, I should say. Too funny. All right. So in Spare, as you recall, Harry referred to some of the courtiers, some of the advisors, bee, fly, and wasp. Well, great shocker. You ready for this? Omid calls them wasps and mustaches. But again, we're not supposed to think that Harry and Meghan had anything to do with this book. They just keep talking to us like we're idiots. I swear this book is making me dumber, by the way. I know, I can hear your thoughts. It can't happen. No, it can't. Cordia's, let's see, continuing on, Cordia's role in things. He goes into, this chapter is pretty dumb, so we're just going to breeze over it. He takes shots at Angela Kelly, calls her the AK-47, talks about her easily triggered temper. Again, Harry did the same thing in his book, and if it was anybody else, it'd be like, okay, so maybe a couple people are saying it, maybe there's something to it. No, she was one of the Queen's most trusted personal advisors. She was with the Queen till the end. No, I don't buy it. All right, moving on. Cordia's role in things. He talks about that the Cordias blocked Harry from talking to the Queen around the time of his exit. Again, this is just Harry and Meghan spinning this shit. Could it be that they maybe didn't want to cause the Queen distress in her advanced years and her health state? Nope, not ever that. Nothing's ever their fault. It's that these evil men and women in gray suits were trying to block them from things. Why let the truth stand in your way? They attempt to explain Harry and Meghan's hypocrisy around private jet as a growing need for security. You ready for this? They spend a whole bunch of time bashing, and yes, I'm saying bashing, William and Catherine and the family for flying commercial when they knew that Harry and Meghan had to fly private because of security. All right, let that sink in. Future king and queen. and royal babies flying commercial, and they're okay with it, and they felt safe enough to do so and comfortable enough to do so. And yet Harry and Meghan, who are they again? They have to fly private. Then, in a rare move, Omid says, yeah, maybe it was excessive at the time, but there's a need for it. And then goes on to say, you know what? Lesson learned from the couple. Talking about Harry and Meghan. No, it is not. Let's talk about real time. How many times have we seen fly private lately? Hello? Didn't they fly private to that stupid Katy Perry thing? I'm not calling her stupid. I'm calling them stupid for what they did at the event. Didn't they fly private there? I mean, no, they haven't learned anything. And again, normally my stance on all this is, who gives a shit? If you want to fly private, fly private. I can't afford it. I wish I could, But truly, to the ones that lecture all of us common folk, us little people, us peons, about the importance of every decision. You have to make every decision carefully and think about every consequence and all the things, right? So many speeches, so much word salad. Anyway, they continue to lecture us, and yet there seems to be no end in sight for them. And that's fine. We're supposed to just breeze right past that. Security concerns. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I have a security concern of my own. So I'm going to need people to start funding my private jets. I can't explain how or why, but if I'm going like Omid here, don't ask any questions. Just go with it. I will be flying private from now on. And by that, I mean, I won't be flying because I can't afford it. But still, again, if you're Omid, you don't have to provide any actual details or background information. You just say it and it becomes a thing. All right. Omid then uses this, to explain. All right. He's talking about courtiers. And he's trying to say that it's their fault, that they were trying to embarrass Harry and Meghan. Because, again, William and his family flew commercial. They did that as a publicity stunt. It couldn't be that they just thought, it makes sense. They're just flying from wherever they were, I'm guessing London to Aberdeen in Scotland. I think they said it was a very short flight. I mean, it seems like geographically it'd be a very short flight. It couldn't possibly make sense for them. It had to be a publicity stunt. Everything is spin with these people. I can't handle it. Let's move on to chapter 11, shall we? Great. Are you ready to get real pissed off? Yeah, me too. It's called Ghost at the Feast. What does that mean? Omid doesn't know. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Basically, this is hey, let's bring up Diana of it all. And I understand Diana can be a hot button topic. Omid knows this. They're doing that thing again where they try to shove Diana and Meghan together. Okay. I'm not falling for it. We're not falling for it. And they continue to take jabs at Catherine here. All right. You ready? So I'm sure you heard this when the book came out, but this is the part of the book. Again, we're in chapter 11. So if you're trying to find it, it's the part of the book where they make a ludicrous claim that the palace wanted both Catherine and Meghan. They were encouraged to dress like Diana. What? I'm sorry, what now? What are we talking about? All right. Nothing is ever Harry and Meghan's fault. That is the theme of this whole book. They're hoping, according to Omid, they're hoping that Diana's shine would rub off on them. All right. Let me interject here. Catherine doesn't need anybody else's shine. I'm not being disparaging to Diana. I'm just saying that's bullshit. I believe, it is my opinion, that Meghan cosplayed as Diana, hoping and praying that people would draw the comparison, put their names in print together, things like that. But nope, we saw through it and said, hey, that's really weird. Why is she cosplaying as her mother-in-law who's passed? It just doesn't make any sense. I will admit, I mean, I've seen pictures where you could say that Catherine, Princess of Wales, gives a nod to Diana. I wouldn't say that she cosplays quite the same. I mean, Look no further than the see-through skirt incident with Meghan. She wore the same ombre print kind of skirt that Diana wore to an event. And oh my goodness, it happened to be see-through. But guess what? Diana had a moment where, oh my goodness, her skirt happened to be see-through. I mean, again, they're treating us like we're stupid. Like we don't know this stuff and that we didn't do our homework. The only one not doing their homework is, well, mostly Omid, but Omid, Harry, and Meghan. All right, let's get on to the big pile of rubbish, shall we? Meghan and the Oprah interview. You ready? All right. According to Omid, and by Omid I mean Meghan, there's a campaign activated before the interview. Or before the interview aired, I should say. You ready? Because the palace so badly didn't want this interview to happen, they orchestrated this whole bullying stuff. It's not that Meghan actually bullied people. It could never be that. It's that, people were encouraged to make up stories about Meghan in a cohesive fashion, in a timely manner. I mean, you can't even, I'm trying to make this sound logical. I can't do it. You can't do it. It just doesn't make any sense. But Omid's trying to spin it as if William was wanting to hurry up and get these stories out there. Hurry up and get these bullying accusations out there. So even by saying that, isn't Omid contradicting himself? I thought these weren't real stories. Then why would William be pushing to hurry up and get these not real stories out there? Doesn't make sense, does it? Nope. But another point that I kept thinking of the whole time, all right, let's say that this is the case, that William desperately wanted to push these stories out here. It's not going to make any of them look good. Again, another reason it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any of them look good. It sounds like they turned a blind eye while Meghan mistreated her staff. I have to say allegedly, but come on. Mistreated her staff, and everybody turned a blind eye to it. So it's not a great story for any of them. I'm not saying it's William's fault. You get what I'm saying. All right. But the other part of this that they don't address and doesn't make any sense at all is, if that's true, let's say William pushed this story out there. Ha ha ha. Let's take down poor innocent victim Meghan. She didn't do anything wrong. Let's just push some nonsense stories out there, right? Then why did all these people quit while working for Meghan? And why did most of them, as we learned from Revenge, and especially I think Cordia's went into it a little bit more, why did they end up working for William and Catherine after the fact? If things were that bad in terms of, not under Meghan, I mean like in terms of the palace in general, the Cordias, all the stuff. And then William's this big bad guy pushing out these stories that these people didn't want pushed out there. Why would they go work for him? They can't explain it. And by they, I mean Meghan and Omid. They can't explain it. They just make this shit up, hoping to deflect and not doing any actual homework on it. All right. Omid, again, is spinning it as a campaign to weaken Meghan and her Oprah interview. Don't worry, Omid. There didn't need to be a campaign. She weakened her own interview. You can go through, I've done videos where you can go through and show, I mean, I've shown the easily provable lies that were told in that interview. Many people have. There's so many at this point. So many things. We know it. We quote it all the time. But again, Omid won't address any of that. It's everybody else's fault. Poor, innocent Meghan. Makes me nauseous. All right. I think about, honestly, the people that are caught up in this. Like the people that had to work with Harry and Meghan. Imagine you work at the palace. You get assigned to those doofuses. You're getting yelled at. You're getting whatever's happening, tea thrown at you, all the things, right? Harry, in his own book, says that they were crying at their desks, right? He spins it as, oh, they were upset because William and I were having a falling out at the time. Nobody gives a shit if you're having a falling out with your brother. That's not what they're crying about. They wouldn't be that personally affected, in my opinion. To me, that screams of, oh, it must have been horrible working conditions, thus proving the allegations, right? And I'm not just blaming Meghan. I'm saying Meghan and Harry both, but seems to be that more people came out saying that Meghan had somebody in her sights at all times and was constantly bullying people. Just saying. Where was I going with this? It's just, I get upset for them because they had to endure all that, right? And then this idiot went on Oprah, told a bunch of lies, and then is trying to play victim about their stories. Just let that sink in. She's trying to be a victim in things that she potentially caused herself. Again, that's not anything new. That's just what they do. That's what Harry and Meghan do. Now Omid's playing right into it because he's an idiot. Instead, let's see, where was I going with this? Omid calls it a distorted view and that he calls it several years old accusations. That doesn't make any sense either. He's arguing semantics because it had been time after they left the royal family, all this stuff. But nope, that doesn't make it not true that she was treating people horribly while they were working for her. So, again, Omid tries to do the same thing Harry does. That's why I say Harry's very much involved in this book. And he says it's not that they were being bullied. It's that everybody had a rough time, ready for this, because of the fractured relationship between Harry and Meghan and, the rest of the royal family. The workers wouldn't care about that. Again, it's the same thing I said with Harry's book. This is them just trying to spin what sounds like an awful place to work for awful people, right? Meaning Harry and Meghan. Still protecting Meghan. Not willing to look at the truth. All right, let's move on. Then he starts lumping in Diana and Meghan and talks about their awful treatment, especially in regard to how the media treated them and how poorly it was handled by, I'm just saying the palace. I don't know what he called it, the whole organization. All right, the whole family. Then they can't not take swipes at Catherine. So they go on to say, it's just a thing. Women not born into the family, they're disposable. What? And then they quickly try to explain away why that doesn't seem to be the case for Catherine. And they say, well, she doesn't have the same problems because she never challenges the system. And then goes on to take a huge swipe at her and says she has no oversized aspirations. Just let that sink in. So again, this is where we heard those, those things that came out before the book that are saying that they call her a Stepford wife, basically. That's where we're getting that from. No oversized aspirations. And yet we're supposed to believe Meghan doesn't bully people. Meghan doesn't bully other women. Isn't that what we're seeing right here in print before us? Isn't this the definition of gaslighting, treating us like we're the crazy ones when it's right here? You literally just said Catherine has no oversized aspirations. This is in the same, very similar place where you're saying, I keep seeing stories saying that Meghan and Catherine never really spoke very much. They didn't get to know each other very much. Then how would Meghan know? How do you know? Have you ever asked Catherine what her aspirations are? No, probably not. I just think that's such bullshit to try to put down Catherine in the middle of bullying accusations. What are you going to blame Catherine for this? It's her fault. Oh yeah, she made you throw tea at people. She made you be horrible to people. That's all her fault. No oversized aspirations. Again, isn't that being cruel and hurtful to another woman? Something that you're denying that you do? Whose fault is that? Who are we going to blame for this? Then they continue on saying Catherine glides under the radar. Okay. Then they finish the chapter with explaining that Diana's suffering and her impact and how it relates to Meghan. Poor Meghan. She's such a victim. She's suffering, guys. She's had such an impact and she's suffering. Again, I say the only one suffering is the rest of us having to read this garbage. I mean, it's just the tap dancing from Harry and Meghan around all this stuff. The rewriting of history, the continued BSing of this, the just all the lies. It's just incredible. And yet here we are again, while bashing Catherine again. It's a chapter about Meghan and her awful behavior, but we can't focus on that. Let's bring it back around to Catherine and try to make it her fault. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to go jump out my window now. Again, I've said it before. I live on the ground floor. It's not an actual threat. Nothing will happen to me. I'll just probably hurt my ankle or something, but I'm just so over this BS. I'm just throwing out stuff there. That's Catherine's fault too. I'm not sure why. It's because she's so sweet and lovely. I can't stand it, so I'm going to jump out my window. My goodness, you guys. We'll make it through this, I promise. Not terribly much more to go. At least that's what I'm telling myself. We'll get through it. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you all so much. Can we just take a second and recognize how wonderful and lovely Catherine, Princess of Wales is? I keep thinking about that. You know, she dealt with it at the time with Meghan in her proximity. She dealt with it by putting on a brave face and being the bigger person. And now she's having to go through it all over again with all this crap in print. Having to keep her head held up high. And that's the only solace I'm taking all this is we already saw it, but a lot of people that didn't see it can finally see in print all the ways that Meghan has been horrible to Catherine. Absolutely horrible. And even now in this book, in a chapter about how Meghan mistreated people, nope, that was Catherine's fault. And then still, bullying Catherine. Unbelievable. Thank you guys so much for being here. You know it means the world to me. If you want to further support the show, I'll tell you how to do it. We have merch. We have Not Bloody Likely. That's what I say to Harry and Meghan and Omid. Not Bloody Likely on everything you've written in this book. Recollections May Vary. Still one of my all-time favorites. And so much more. Drunk Goose Club. Honk honk, everybody. And then we have Patreon. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer, just like the lovely geese and ganders you see before you. That's where you can get my bonus content, my extra deep dives, all the things. Check it out there on Patreon. As always, I can't wait to read your comments on this one. Tell me all your thoughts. I'm taking it all in. Blaming Catherine for Meghan's awful behavior. Sure, why not? Playing victim. Damn. All right. Thank you guys. Can't wait to read your thoughts on this one. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.